Welcome to Ask Kristi, the Business English Open Forum. This is a place where I'm hoping to create a spot where people who speak English as a second language can come and work on their professional expressions, their professional communication. Each week, I am hoping that I will have people submit questions or stories about challenges in learning business English, and I will answer questions or discuss topics. And I hope that it's a place where people can kind of share, learn, and improve on their professional English. So today I'm running a little bit late, and it made me think that that would be actually a pretty good subject to discuss. How do you handle it when you're late to work? What do you say? What do you do? I'll say a little bit more about why I'm late as we go on, but I did a little bit of digging around, and I found a nice article about how to handle being late to work. It is from Business Insider magazine, and I'll put a link down below, and on my website, I always have a blog that has a little summary of each Monday's subject where we can have a little more information. I'll talk about the article there. So in this article, I find that the woman that they talk to agrees with my feelings about how you should handle when you're late to something. And so I'm going to go ahead and share some of the highlights here. So they spoke with Rosemary Hefner, who's the Chief Human Resource Officer at Career Builder. So Career Builder is a place where you can go and find, there's lots of recruiting and just professional kind of job search website. So I'm sure she knows a lot about what she's talking about. Anyways, she says something that I agree with completely. She starts off by saying whether or not you need to address being, whether or not you have to say something or how you handle if you're late depends on the company culture. And that's something I have talked about before. Basically, the company culture is sort of it's almost like you go to a different country and there's a different culture. You go to a company, and it's very important where you work that you kind of get a feeling of how that is. Is your company really strict? Is it more relaxed? I think you need to have an understanding of that to think about how you would approach reacting to your being late. So they kind of summarize it down into a few steps that I think are pretty good. So the first one, it says, call ahead if you can. So if you know you're going to be late, and this could be being late to work, being late to meeting a client. This could even be if you're meeting friends for dinner, especially if they're professional colleagues, you probably want to handle that gracefully. So if you can, call ahead, let them know you're running late. I think that's one of the best things that you can do. That's not always possible, but if you can, call ahead. Like I said, that works in a variety of circumstances. That's even just friends, boyfriends. If you know you're going to be late, let people know that you're going to be late and maybe give them an idea of what time you're going to show up. And then this is what the number 2 is this requires a little bit of thought. It says, consider the impact of your lateness. So basically, you need to think about, did you miss something important? Are you showing up late and walking into a big meeting? So is everybody sitting there quiet and you're coming in late? Or is it just a regular day and nobody has even really noticed that you're not there and you just have to slide in and sit at your desk? Consider the implications of your being late. Have you put anyone else into a difficult situation because you're late? I think you need to think about that before you decide whether or not you want to draw attention to the fact that you're late. Number 3, apologize. So right now I will apologize because I am here late. It is now 3:41 in France, and I said I would start this at 3. but I have a very good excuse, which comes up here. It says to make an excuse or whether or not you should share an excuse. I'm getting there. So I apologize for being late today. I'm sorry. I couldn't let you know ahead of time because it was a little bit of a tricky situation. Basically, when they say apologize, it never hurts to say you're sorry. Although they also do say here that you might not want to draw attention to yourself. So, that you have to pick and choose whether or not you want to even let anyone know that you were late. But you can apologize to people, and depending on how much trouble they got into or had extra work they had to do because you were late, you might want to just say you're sorry or actually go further and write an email or do something nice for them. So number 4 is provide an explanation. This is where I think it gets a little bit tricky. I think you could just say, sorry, I'm late, and leave it at that. I think giving the reasons why you're late can get a little bit tricky. You might not want to share it. But what you really should do is that, and jump up ahead at number 6, it's be honest. Please do not make up some crazy story as your excuse for being late, because that just ends up getting really tricky. And so this article is written for people who speak English. And I think that if you speak English as a second language, apologizing, handling a delicate situation like you've shown up late, that can be a little extra stressful. So I think you should keep it as simple as possible. So making up an excuse of, my train got derailed and I was mugged, and then the taxi driver took me to the other side of town. And I just think you should probably keep your story short and sweet. If it is a true story, if you really were, taken off by a pack of wild wolves, then maybe you do want to share your story. But I think more often than not, the reason we're late is kind of a small glitch of something, and you probably just want to get past it. So I suggest not making up any difficult stories or excuses as to why you are late, and just stick with the apology and go on from there. Number 5, make it clear that this isn't going to become a habit. I think if you are late once or rarely, you can make an apology. I think the most important gesture is to not be late, not make it a habit, and show by your behavior that being late is not something that is your problem all the time. So that is something that you can put some effort into. If you are, for whatever reason, sometimes late, which happens to all of us, then I think you should try and call ahead, think about it, apologize, try not to make up crazy stories. And the last one, which I had mentioned, be honest. So if there is some real reason, just go ahead and say it. And today I'll share why I'm late. So here I am living in France. I have worked all over the place. Now I have, my husband and I are renovating an old house, and we have an old farm, and we have some chickens. I don't know much about chickens. I'm learning how to take care of chickens. And today I had a bit of a chicken disaster, as one of my chickens seems to be sick or dying, and I had to be out there to try and help her a little bit. And I lost track of time, and I showed up here late. So I'm very sorry. I realize that story might sound like a fake story, but it's actually true. I was nursing a chicken who seems to be sick. So I'm hoping anybody who is watching might cheer on my chicken and send some good health her way. Anyways, so today I have shown up late, but I think that the subject of what you can say or how you can handle showing up late to work is a pretty good one to discuss. So I didn't give you any exact English phrases. I think you can just say, I'm sorry, I'm late. Or if that's right when you're walking in, because I am late, I'm sorry I'm late. And then just try and draw as little attention to yourself as possible. Or if you're circling back later saying, I'm sorry I was late this morning. I got hijacked by a pack of wolves. No, maybe you got stuck in the train, whatever it is. I think keep it simple, be honest, and let's try not to be late in the future. So there you have it. That is today's little business English tip from Juku Kristi. I am going to be back here next Monday. This is a free weekly live event where I am going to discuss professional communication, targeting people like you who speak English as a second language and need to work in English. So send me your questions. You can put a comment below. You can send questions to questions@jukukristi.com. And you can go over to my website for all sorts of information. The link will be below. Go ahead and hit a like for this video. Sign up and subscribe to my channel because those things matter. I look forward to seeing you next week. We meet every Monday, 10 p.m. in Japan, 3 p.m. in Paris, and 9 a.m. in New York City. Today, I was a little bit late. I apologize. See you next week.